This tutorial will be showing you how to use MakeHuman with FaxHuman and MHX to generate 3D human avatars with facial expressions that you can use in your animation projects or in 3D simulations. We'll be using this software called MakeHuman to interface with Blender. We'll be introducing the add-on called MHX. So to install this, you want to navigate to the MakeHuman community website to download. It's either this, or if you want to use the Windows version, I have prepared a GitHub repository for you to use. So go on the downloads page on the MakeHuman community site and choose one of the versions you want to download for Windows or for Mac OS X. You can also download one for Linux because it's fully open source and it's written in Python. You want to download the Windows version, you can go on to my GitHub page where I've put in 2 plugins already for this GitHub repo. Click on download as a zip or clone the repository. Once it's been downloaded, open up the folder which is called MakeHuman_IC, and in here you will see 2 subfolders. One is called FaxHuman and the other one is import MHX folder. So those 2 are for the plugins. You want to run the MakeHuman executable file at least once. So here we are opening this up. Once it's open, if it's the first time you run it, you might see a window popping up, but this is not my first time opening it, so it's not here. Once it's open for the first time, a folder will be created, and which is in your local domain. So you want to go to, for Windows, you want to go to Documents, and you see a new folder called MakeHuman, all in lowercase. Open this up, and the subsequent folder, and open up the folder called Data. And we're going to put the FaxHuman folder in here, which is your local domain. So literally drag it into this subfolder like that. And close your application and restart it. Okay, now it's been restarted and we can see 3 tabs: FaxHuman.1, FaxHuman Animation, and the Scene Editor. So if they're not showing, that means there's something wrong, and one way to debug this would be to using the utils function, and you will see logs of the application here. So just check that. Okay, so on the home page, we have this human figure, which is the base mesh. And to edit this base mesh, you have the control button on the left. And here we're going to generate a white, we're going to generate a Caucasian male. So I set the gender to male. And we're setting Caucasian to 100%, like that. And you can turn on the smooth to get rid of the sort of the edge on the ears to make the mesh look a bit better. To apply skin texture, we navigate to Material and select the right skin material for this avatar. In this case, it's a middle-aged white male. And then we go to geometries, where we can add more peripheral meshes, such as the clothing. I'm going to use the casual suit for this. And we can also add the eyes, which is going to keep high poly for now. For the hair, we're going to leave it unchanged. And we're adding teeth, just use the base one. For topology, I would recommend not to change it unless you really want a muscular sort of topology for a certain reason. Otherwise, it may conflict with your base mesh and cause problems in rendering. In other softwares such as Unity, I've encountered this problem before, and the best way to mitigate it is not to add a topology mesh. And lastly, we will be adding eyebrows, just like that one. And eyelashes, we're just going to leave it unchecked and add a tone. Okay, so this is your completed human figure generated using MakeHuman. And now we're going to save this as the MakeHuman model. So click on save. Choose a directory. In this case, we're going to save it as the desktop. And okay, that's been saved. Cool. So now if I open another file like that, I can just load my pre-saved file by click on load, like that. Cool. Now for facial expression, so navigate to MakeHuman 0.1, click on full face view camera to zoom into the face, and we can change the intensity of specific action units. So for example here, I'm just doing the eyebrow raising and the cheek raising. Set both to 100%, or you can just set them back to 0. And once that's set, you can take a single image by clicking on the take single shot, which will create a PNG image in your document, MakeHuman, and you will see a new folder called grab inside V1. Open this one up, and you will see the PNG file there. So it's a transparent background. Okay, next we can add an animation by frames. So to do that, you want to check the mixed box and select a few AUs. So in this case, we're using pane expression. So I'm adding 4 AUs for this, which are AU 4, 7, 9, and 10. And we're going to do a full animation from 0, which is the neutral phase, to 100%, which is the maximum painful phase. So we are using the second setting for the pattern here. So once that's been set, select your AU on the setting and just click add. So we're adding AU 4 and AU 7, AU 9, and AU 10, like that. Okay, so once that's been set, you want to save your timeline. Again, we just save this as on the desktop. Go back to the MakeHuman.1 tab, and we want to load this timeline. Okay, so once that's loaded, I want to just disable the smooth for now, because that might cause some random problems. And if you slide this animation slider, you will see those 4 AUs all change simultaneously as an animation. And it sort of just acts as a master slider for controlling those 4 values, like that. Okay, so now that that's done, we can save those this animation frame by frame by checking render animation, and then save the image set. So click that, and you'll see the image is starting to be saved, and is in the same directory, so it's in the grabs folder, and you can see a new folder being created, and this image set is saved in there. In here we can see that each image is slightly different than the previous to simulate this animation frame by frame. Okay, so that's the 25 images of the short pane expression animation. Next, we want to export this file to Blender so we can do a facial expression change in 3D. And we'll be using the blend shape function in Blender to basically morph one of the expression to the other. It's It's better to do that in 3D than the 2D image, just because this is already in 3D, so why not just use it for its full potential. And to do that, we want two faces, a neutral face and a paint face. So the first thing we want to do is to set it to neutral. So we set intensity back to 0, we toggle the smooth just to clear up like that. And we're gonna just double check this quickly. And so smooth face, so see, yeah, it's all neutral. Okay, so go on export, click on the .mhx2 file, which is the file format we're going to use with Blender, and choose a name and directory for this. You can either check the fill and ground or not, it doesn't really make much difference, and leave the rest unchecked because we're not using rigging. You can use rig for the facial expression if you're experienced with rigging and animation in general, but because I'm not, I'm just doing the lazy way, which is blend shape, so I'm just leaving them unchecked. So export this. Okay. And so this is neutral face. To blend shape, we're going to need another face of the same number of vertices. So to do that, we're going to generate this painful face. So back to here, we're changing the slider value to 100%. Toggle smooth to update the render, and export this as a painful face as the MakeHuman-Blender file. Okay, now we're ready for Blender. So before that, we check our file. We should have two MakeHuman-Blender files. One is the normal, one is the painful face. Okay, so for Blender, you can either download Blender from the Blender Foundation website. I think it's the Blender Foundation, yeah, the Blender Foundation website. Or the way I did was using Steam and just get Blender from Steam. So here I'm using Blender from Steam and it's version 2.83. So make sure to check the version number because we're gonna add the MakeHuman-Blender add-on for Blender as well. So it has two parts. The first part was the MakeHuman, which was already in the MakeHuman folder I created, but this one we need to add it by hand. So you want to navigate to your C disk, go on Users, check your username. Make sure you turn all the files visible. You want the app data folder, which is normally hidden. Open that. I'm going roaming, and there should be a folder called Blender Foundation. Alternatively, you can search it. So into this folder and check the right version number, double click, and go on add-ons. And basically move that folder into this directory here, which I've already done in this case. So just move that one over there. Okay. So once that's done, let's go back to Blender. We want to do Edit, Preference, and basically find this new add-on you installed, which is called MakeHuman Import Export MakeHuman-Blender add-on. So make sure that's checked. And to use it, so I'm going to delete this. Okay, so to use it, click on that little arrow, and this tab should be there now. MakeHuman-Blender Import. So we go on desktop and select our model. We're going to override some of the default settings, so we are not doing any masking. And I'm setting a subsurface modifier for that to make it more smooth. Import. After a little while, you will see your human figure appearing. Cool. Right, let's just move that to the side. And delete the camera and the light. Cool. So this figure is made of, you can see there are 6 components here in this collection, which correspond to 6 different meshes in our workspace. If you are not familiar with Blender, I suggest to go on Blender Guru, which is a YouTube channel, to watch some of the beginner tutorials. But basically, to do the merging, we have to apply all of the submerge modifiers first. So go on each object and click on apply for the modifiers. Because otherwise the shape key won't work. The shape key just doesn't work with modifiers. Okay, now we've done that for one of the models. Here you can see that for the base mesh is completely empty, so if you just hide all the others, you will see them all appearing. This is what I mean by the body was the base mesh and all the other peripheral meshes are separate. Okay, awesome. Now we have one of the figures that we need for merging. Cool. Next, let's import the other one. It automatically saves your previous settings, so select the painful model and import the file. Just like that, and wait for it to load. Okay. So now the painful file is also loaded. We have basically two collections of meshes in our workspace now. So again, we want to apply all the subsurfs first. So just going to do that for all of the meshes. And now we're going to generate the blend shape as shape keys. So a shape key basically merges one object to another, given the two objects, the two meshes have the same number of vertices. And here we're going to map this painful face, which is made of two meshes, the base mesh, which is the body plus the face, and the eyebrow mesh, which is a separate peripheral mesh. So to do that, I select both models, go on properties, and because I want to map the painful onto the normal, so I'm going to select the painful first, hold on shift, and then select the normal. Once they're both selected, just try again, yeah. So click on the drop down arrow and join as shape. Cool. Now we have a shape key, and if you click on the shape key and if you change the shape key value, which ranges from 0 to 1, you can see that the mesh is changing. So I'm just going to drag it. You can see it's changing from the no pain to pain. Okay, so now we're going to do the same for the eyebrows. So we select the pain eyebrow. I'm going to map that onto the natural eyebrow. So down arrow, join as shape, and we'll have the eyebrow, the shape key. So the shape key acts a transformation command. So it's now memorized the coordinates it needs to transform into. So we can basically keep our natural model and delete the other one. So now we have this completed model for which you can export for either animations or simulations or into other softwares for use. Okay, so the other thing is for textures. Whenever you export something from MakeHuman, textures folder is automatically generated, which contains all the UV, normal, and diffuse maps you need. So you can see we have the eyes, the eyebrows, the clothing, the main human body unwrapped, and the other peripheral meshes as well. So I would recommend to use these instead of your own UV maps, unless you want a hyper-realistic rendering. So now we're just going to save this blend file, and in which we can import in straight away into software such as Unity. Yeah, so this is how to use MakeHuman with Blender to generate facial expressions in 3D. I hope this guide is useful for you, and I can't wait to see what you guys can do in your projects.